kids that have these reading modifications that's needed for them, because if they have dyslexia or others, but if ADHD is on top of it, then, because it's hard enough for these students to learn, apparently, it's hard enough for them to sit and learn it, because it's very hard work for their brain to actually do this work. It's not like they want to do it, but when you add ADD or ADHD on top of it, it's like they can't even sit to do that. So, so I was understanding. I was like, okay, I'll think of something. So I'm like, okay, let me see if there's something herbal that would be appropriate for my son. And I went back to my modules. I haven't really treated anybody with ADHD. I've never come across this. And but for my son, I was like, let me try herbals first before I even go to any medication. And so I found like 4 different herbs that I really liked and I thought was appropriate for my son. I researched, okay, let me find this. And I spoke to a friend who's a master herbalist. And I was like, do you know a company that might not have this formula? So she told me, and I looked it up, and I saw like 3 of those herbs were in this formula, along with 3 other ones that are really, really nice and could be very appropriate. And so I tried it on my son, and he's been doing great. Like the teachers were like, what did you give him? Because he's like able to sit there. He's fine. He's doing work. And then I had the director of the program ask me if I wouldn't mind if there was a parent that would call me for her son. And so she put her son on it, and he did great. He's been progressing so nicely. And since I've had a few other mothers call me, and I was like, why don't I do a presentation on this and just talk about it? And because it's not so commonly used, these herbs in the, in our system. And,
that's so important. Thank you. Yeah.
So,
and I want to hear
and I would also nutritionally, there are a lot of times what exacerbates ADHD symptoms. And I want to make this clear. ADHD is not an issue, except it can be exacerbated. Like there are a lot of good, amazing, creative people that have ADHD. Let's be real. It's actually, we need these kinds of people in the world. It's just a problem when it's so out of control that a person, like I heard a teacher tell me that his student couldn't focus for more than 3 seconds. I mean, that's just, so it's just gone to the extent that it's over the top. And so interestingly enough, we also are finding a lot of these children, when they're in research, they're low in certain vitamins and minerals. They might be low in magnesium, and magnesium the brain and the nervous system.
Magnesium, you said. Okay, I'm just repeating you so I could hear it again. Magnesium. Okay.
Yeah. So when we're looking at a child who is not only has ADD or ADHD, they are also deficient in certain nutrients that are important for the brain and nervous system, then we're dealing with even more of those tendencies, inattentiveness, impulsivity, hyperactivity. It's just more exacerbated.
Guilty of all.
So
I get it. And we need to give them space to do so, because, right, like we're all learning.
My theory in that, I think what we've seen is when they're going from deficiency in a lot of these nutrients needed for the brain to sufficiency, and they're getting in what they need, they're a lot of times able to manage better in the classroom.
Yeah.
So we still need more. So the herbals come in so nicely to just really nurture and help in certain areas of the brain. Like certain herbs can help with blood flow to the brain, to the frontal cortex, and which is beautiful because it's kind of, there's a lot of times lower blood flow in children or people that have ADHD. So there are these properties in these plants that can help more mildly than like medication, but really can work with the right dose.
Okay, don't tell us too much more because we want to go. So I don't want to miss that. So yeah, the next question, you were talking about education and just new plans. The next question I had for you is what kind of plans would you like to implement if you're working with teachers? In other words, like in the classroom, if you said that you started talking to the teacher. And I want to say too, like I I think that all teachers are just have gone through a lot in this last couple of years, and I've talked to many. And I have to say that like everybody's doing kind of like the best they can. So sometimes we might butt heads about a certain decision or a certain mindset, and that's okay. We might even be wrong from time. We're obviously we make mistakes. So I guess my question is, how do you form relationships with, like, let's just say a teacher in a teacher relationship, but you're also in the synagogue relationships, you're in so many different relationships that are very valued in your culture. Also, I want, so basically two questions. I want to ask you a little bit how your culture is involved, your Jewish roots, everything, your family. You have a big family. Please talk about the culture, your family, and then just how you are feeling called to like kind of bring that into the schools in a way, because I see that it seems like you are, because what did she say? She said, oh wow, she said, he's so much better, so they're noticing. So there seems to be some sort of symbiotic healthy relationship there between the teachers and the parents.
Yeah, absolutely. These I find more often than not, especially I think when you have teachers that really want the best for the students, when they're like really, they see that the child's struggling, and it's not that like, oh, this child's misbehaving, we just have to, he just has to leave, and I said what I said about that teacher before, but she is really sweet. She was just trying to say, I can't manage. And I really had to take her seriously at that point. I don't think she wanted to threaten me, but she felt bad for him. She
No,
didn't
but
think
it's hard because you don't want to make the teacher's life hard. It is. So
I don't want exactly. I don't want. And also, I don't, and she thinks that my son is a very nice boy. It's not like she has such an issue with him. It's just,
yeah. Oh, good. That's good to hear, because I wasn't sure.
no, I didn't mean to sound like, she just is
A
hating
big
on him.
old bag. No. Anyway, okay.
Right.
Yeah,
So,
this is a common thing that we're seeing a lot of. It's not uncommon.
yeah,
Okay.
and so I think regarding like my culture and the school, I think that what's one, and I don't know if it's just the observant Jewish culture that is this way. I'm not exactly sure, because I don't know. I have never like talked to a teacher that's in the public schools about this.
Right. Not everybody is, but that's okay. You can't be all
But
things to all people.
being what?
Sometimes it's hard to be all things to all people. We don't have to, show a certain, I'm just asking in general, like with the teachers, like, because you said you're in a community, right? I don't know anything about living in an Orthodox community, and I'm curious. And
Oh, okay.
people want to know about that, because all the time whenever I'm like, oh yeah, my best friend, she's up in New York, and I'll say something, and usually like they'll ask me, oh yeah, and she's observant. I was like, yeah, and they'll ask me questions. I don't always have the right answers. I don't know, everything that you do. And
Yeah.
because we talk about other things, in our life, but I would like to hear more about that, and just like what God is doing in your life. And you know
So the culture in with in a Jewish culture, the religion isn't just a religion. It's really, it, like you said, it's a whole culture. It's a whole way of life. And any with Judaism, there are a lot of what's called mitzvahs. Excuse me.
Take your time.
So you can define it as commandments or connections with God, and so there's very deep levels in Torah, and then there's very like more simple levels of Torah. So and there's 613 mitzvahs, these commandments or connections with Hashem. I say Hashem as God because it's just another way to say it. Means the name, which is ultimate name.
Yeah, the word.
so like, as opposed to saying, yeah, I say either one.
It's okay. It doesn't. We're fine.
So when you have a Jewish community of people that are Orthodox, which means they're observant. That means they're observing all these mitzvahs as much as they can do. You think, oh my God, 613 mitzvahs, like what is that? Like, that's so many. Most of them actually we can't do anymore because they were that was part of the work done in the Holy Temple, and that's destroyed. And we believe there's going to be a third Holy Temple coming down with.
But in terms of the teachers, what I call a born again experience, but I really prefer to call it kanos, because it was more of like a mindset, and that's the Greek translation, and the Hebrew is so important, like you were saying, to understand like the temple of God, like our mind. It also doesn't mean a literal temple at the same time. It means our mind, right? How do we ease the tension? That's a better way of putting it. How do you do it? How do you do it so well? Like, you go out in the public, she is just joyful. You should see that she's such a beautiful woman. She just emulates joy, and it doesn't matter what's happening around her. And I don't
we all need sometimes compliments to make us feel like good, because the truth of the matter is, I think it's really just have peace within different groups. I'm going to give you an example. Even within my culture, there are different people that sort of hold by different ways of doing things, and you have different rabbis that will sort of give like a certain way of doing things, like a certain way of doing the mitzvahs, or different way of learning Torah, because Torah again, you can learn so many different levels. And so the idea is to bridge that gap a little bit. I guess you had mentioned that, like, so for example, the people in my neighborhood, all the observant Jews here, very sweet people. Everyone's very sweet. And they're all like learning Torah. They're doing mitzvahs. They really, and part of it, and, there's a story that was talking, there was a man who really wanted to convert to Judaism, or he didn't know about Judaism. He was just like, well, what is it? Like, can you tell me on one foot what it is? We went to one rabbi, and he's like, I can't tell you in one foot. You're going to have to leave and find somebody else to tell you what, because there's just so much. And then he went to this other rabbi that was a much more kinder approach. He wanted to take him in and was like, okay, if you want to know what it is on one foot, basically love your fellow as yourself. It all boils down to loving each other as yourself. And there's a lot to it, to being observant, but he was sold. He's like, that sounds good. He just needed to have that idea.
Okay.
So the idea is, how do we sort of get along with each other, even though we have different philosophies? So in my community, as I was saying, we have a little bit of a different approach. We come from the Chabad approach, which is Lubavitch, and it's more of like the mystical parts of the Torah that we really try to kind of, we live by it, and it's all the same Torah, but it's a different approach to it. So some people are, so it's hard to explain, just different learnings. And that I kind of came to was a more joyful approach. So you're taking on these mitzvahs, taking on learning and doing kindness to people, good, kind deeds, giving charity, all in a very joyful way, because, every time you're connecting to something greater. You're connecting to God.
And catch. That's what I love about you have to serve us, but you have to tithe, or like, but you have to do it our way, or like, there's so many buts, and I'm just so excited about what God's doing now. Like, it's just amazing, because there's no buts, there's no strings attached, there's no, oh, you're gonna burn and like all that stuff, like, oh, that's not even in the Torah or the Bible.
No.
So it's like, for me as a Christian, I get so mad when people talk about flames and stuff. I'm like,
yeah,
no, that's not God. And I can't help it. I'm just like, no.
Yeah, I things like every one of us is like Hashem's, God's only child. And if we look at it like that, like, how much would a parent care for that only child? Yeah. He would love that child so much.
And so we are in him.
Yes.
God. There's no out, like,
no, it's all really all one, It's very, really beautiful. And if you really think about it, before you start your day, that you're so cared for, that God loves you, that he has faith in you that you're going to do. Why is he giving you another day? Because he has faith in you that you're going to do awesome stuff in the world. And even if we mess up, he knows we're human, that we're going to mess up, but we try again. Oh, so sorry that I did. We like apologize. We have, it's good to feel a little remorse because we want to do better, but we don't stop ourselves and like go underneath our bed and under a rock and be like, I'm the worst.
Right.
No, that's not truth. It's about picking up, being like, okay, I made a mistake. I know what not to do now. I'm going to continue going, to do the right thing.
Right.
And that's all God expects of us. There was this beautiful meme of like a boy, and it was like on the top was just like this fiery old man that was like, and at the bottom was it was like black and white, a little boy with this man, and the man was like, and that's like, oh, come to me.
I posted that. Wait, I posted.
Oh, I love that. I was forgot. So perfect.
I save all the ones I like and then I repost them.
Oh, I love that. I mean, it's perfect. It's exactly the point. And we say something in the morning. It says, Moda ani lefenaka melech chai v'kayam shehakazarta bi nishmasi bechem laraba emuna secha. So what does that mean?
I don't know, but it sounds nice.
It's so nice. It's we thank you, Lord, for bringing us another day, and that you have faith in me. That's I'm paraphrasing because that's not exactly. I'm grateful that I've woken up and that you have faith in me that I'm going to, do the right thing, basically.
Well, yeah.
I should I don't have a sitter, but in the sitter it says exactly. But so anyway, so it's like a great way to wake up and you feel like, oh, I am loved. And it's the
protected, loved, sheltered.
But what's cool about living, what's cool about living in a community like this, everyone's really on the same page. Everyone in the sense of like their direction in life and like what, and as far as,
beautiful that you have that, and I think it's emulating that to others, and I just hope and pray that other people will build these communities. It might not start their same way, but you know how God is. He'll shake it up, he'll do so that I was thinking about the walls of Jericho and like crazy stuff, and don't expect the crazy stuff to stop, because there's going to be more crazy stuff, but it's all for the good and for the glory of God. And so the more we honor him and thank him, right, and just show gratitude and be humble, don't take it to your head, right? All that stuff.
And this world is for us to enjoy too. I mean, we should really take pleasure in it, have joy, and just have the big thing now with we're coming into this redemption stage of the world. Like we're really bringing God into the world. There is such a thing, which means practicing kindness, practicing compassion, and saying the truth. And really that's like actually bring godliness into the world. It's like, it's shedding light. It's a lot of light shed when we do this. And one area is if we're not feeling good inside our bodies and we just want to like run, or we feel like we have so much to do and we're stressed and then that's in a, like not a settling state. And if we can get into more of a state of being embodied, of having what's called menucha hanefesh, which is having like a peaceful body, like feeling you could just sit with your kids and just enjoy, or just, not feel like you have to always do or go or, be pressured all the time.
I need that blessing too. I know that's why the Lord sent me to you. Mom, and I'm overextended and all that, but I know he loves us in our striving too. Like, but
strive, but we also have to feel peaceful in ourselves too. Just being, time and place. There's a time and a place we have to do, and we have to go forward. But there's a time and place to kind of to surrender to what is.
I like that. Ugh. I'm sold. Let's do it. Let's go into a rest, Shabbat rest. Things that I think are okay to talk about. I mean, I feel like sometimes I got jealous at some points, like, why don't the Jews over there talk to us? Are we obnoxious? They don't like us. or how come that, the Spanish people don't talk to, it doesn't matter what, if there's a different culture, you tend to have that tension. It just
And
is like Black Lives Matter, white lives matter, Jewish lives
right,
matter, my life
right.
matters, unvaccinated lives matter, hello,
I,
like it's all the lives matter. We know that we're human beings and we care about one another.
we
Why
do, but
all of a
problem is,
sudden become a division? Like,
right. The division happens because we're looking at the surface. We're
yeah,
looking at, oh, is he vaccinated? Is he not? Oh, is she, oh, she's this culture. I don't really go with that culture. But if we instead when we're going to have intention, we call it kavana in Hebrew, intention before we leave our doors and say,
okay.
I am going to come from my soul place, which
Mhm.
is I'm a light. I have a light inside of me that's part of God, that I'm going to bring my light to another person's light. And instead of looking at, oh, they look weird, or I don't like what her dress is, but instead having that intention that I'm going to meet people from a soul perspective and just say, hi, like, who are you? And like really be curious and be like,
That
then
makes
it's
sense.
so even if we're in different groups, or even like I was telling you, there's different Jewish groups that are like certain, even in the observant like group of people, Orthodox crowd, there's different ways that people do it. So if I talk, for example, like deep parts of Torah, mystical parts of Torah, they're going to be like, okay, I don't really do that. I mean,
Yeah, that's okay. Because it might offend someone. You don't want to cause them to stumble, or
yeah. So I like, okay, then I know I can't talk to about certain things with certain people because they're not open to,
yeah,
and it's how they weren't brought up that way. But
yeah.
we're it's all the same Torah. It's just how people are.
It's
So, but the idea is that you go to any of these people and you're bringing like a peaceful, like, okay, I'm going to look at people from a soul source instead of like, more surface.
wow.
For,
So good. I think Christians can learn a lot from you, but I think more people would honor that, if they knew what it is.
absolutely. That is the point. That's the absolute point on this, that we all have a relationship with God if we want it. And it's not about like, oh my gosh, I've sinned. I'm like, I can't even show my face anymore. Can't even talk to God. He hates me. It's what do you want to have? Do you want to have God in your life? Because God is always there. Do
Yeah,
you closer? Because it's up to you to be closer. He's
yeah,
always here.
yeah,
He's here
yeah,
now.
yeah.
It's not about like, it's just
But-
we feel we're different. We feel we're further away from God.
yeah,
We disconnect ourselves, but we can always get closer. And how do we do that? We just talk to him and say, listen, I messed up. And I feel bad about it. And like when you talk to God, like he's your best friend, then
yeah.
it's like you can talk more about anything you want, and you're like, listen, I don't like the situation of how the world is so like everyone's just like not connecting. There's so many different people that are just like not nice to each other and shutting people out. I want to change this. Can you please help me change? Like we can ask for things that are like, and if people just knew that they have such a gift to be in this world.
Power. We have power. We're not
We
like,
have power.
yeah, like look at and because you studied she knows more. You probably know more than me about the Old Testament because she's like a scholar in Torah language. But
Well, I'm
I
not far
do,
from.
but God did show me a lot. Like I know about the grasshoppers.
Oh, yeah.
They're not. See, she knows what I'm talking. They're not grasshoppers. It's all about the mindset. Is it a giant or is it a grasshopper? Because Caleb and Joshua, they just went right to the promise. No fear. They didn't see anything. They didn't see the fear. They didn't see the obstacles. They just go.
But Joshua had to go to. Was it no? It was no? It was Caleb. Yeah, I think it was Caleb who.
I thought you know all this better than me, but I don't know. It's something Caleb and Joshua, I think.
Caleb and Joshua went to search the land to see to witness like what they have to deal with when they go into the land. But they are the only two out of the 12 tribes who went first to the kever, to the forefathers kever, where they are buried, to like ask for strength in their trust that they're gonna like try to look at things in a good way. And they needed that extra.
They needed to ask, so that's fine. Yeah, and they needed to ask.
And did it. Have a good report. Yeah. So anyway, yeah.
And everyone else was dropping dead. I mean, it's not funny, but it's like, whoa, that's pretty strong word. Like, you can make this. It's not God's not like punishing you. You know what I mean? Like that's the
and
that.
no, it's not about punishment. You could look at it like that, but
Yeah.
it doesn't, not necessarily true.
Yeah.
There's different levels. Listen, there's different levels of how we fear God. There could be fear of how, like awe, like, oh my gosh, it's God, like, wow. Like awe, like a king walking down your street with a big entourage, and he's tall, and you're kind of like, wow.
Yeah.
That's a level of fear. It's an awe. It's like, wow, that's a high level to have of God. The other level is to fear punishment. Like, oh my gosh, if I God forbid kill someone, I could really be punished, and like, so that's another fear. Like, but we don't have to be, in the level of fear of punishment all the time, where we feel like, oh my gosh, it's not healthy. It's
Right.
The higher level fear is like kind of what we want to go towards, which is like, wow, I want to live and act a certain way in this kingdom, which is our world.
Right.
And because God is right here watching, I want to live.
Yeah. Conversation out of that fear with like, oh, what do you think? Oh, what do you think? And then we feed that fear, right? So if we're feeding the fear, then we're getting away from God, and we're not even
Right.
And then God is speaking to us, but we can't hear him because we're too blah, blah, blah.
Yeah. I hear you. I like things pop up. That's why I can't like look at the news too much. I like certain things. I just want to go know what's going on in the world, but I can't be like in with that. Otherwise it messes with my head too. And it's not true. And we don't know some, older folks and some children that can get together, like once a month or once every week to, to read together.
And a short time, I'll keep it short. And then
introduce the kind of program you're doing. So it's not about you, it's about the program you want to start. And
yes, it's I don't know if I'm ready, but I'll find out. I'm excited.
I think if you go like this, if your intention is to really help the quality of life of people, and to bring the kids and the elderly together. My daughter just did a paper on what's more important, or language or music. She ended up, because of course my husband's a music therapist, and we were helping her also, right? But I was like, how, it's not like children and elderly have much in common, but what they can do, they both can read, they both can sing ABCs, and they can sing happy birthday together, and they're connecting right there with music.
Oh, good. That's what I needed to hear. I knew you had a word in there for me. That's a good idea.
So the point is, like, if you bring an elderly person and a child together, or the older person that doesn't have children, or and the child comes into their life, it is so much light for that older person. Like, you're doing so much good when you can find a connection between the two. And if it's through books, I think it's just a win-win for both. So don't get scared of asking people about this. You have such a beautiful idea, but it'd be a you don't do it.
Yeah. Well, the stumbling block I had was when I talked to my score guy. I got my friend gave me a hookup with score.com. She said, hey, this is the best, and this is someone I trust. It's just I guess it's an agency that is for older people that are in retirement, that have had a business and that are successful with it, that are bored, and they just sign up for this volunteer service where they mentor new people who want a business. So I was like, all right, I'll try it. But I started talking to this guy, and he's like 30 years into his retirement, and we were hitting it off. It seemed fine, and I'm not going to have this recorded on the thing, but I just want to tell you, like, it seemed okay. But then, like, what really crushed me, because now God's reminding me, the most recent darkest moment was just a couple of days ago, because you know what he said to me? I was like, everything was good, happy vibes, good vibes.
Yeah.
And I go, Jenny, you're not going to believe what he said. I couldn't believe it. I was like, everything was good. Everything was so good. It's still good, but I'm praying for him vigilantly. He said, well, yeah, I just got to make sure. I said, what about the red tape? There's probably, still some restrictions. I said the word restrictions. That's all I said. And then he said, oh, well, you got to make sure, you're all vaccinated. Everyone's vaccinated. There's some people out there that, don't. You just got to make sure you tell them you're vaxxed. I'm like, huh? What? What are you talking about? And he goes, well, there's people that are unvaccinated, and they're actually spreading this thing. And they're like, and he was like talking about it like you're not one of them, are you? And I like freaked out a little bit. I was like, no, I like, and I talked to God about it. I said, no, no, no. But I repented for, I said a lie because I was like, no, no, no. And because I was like so flustered. And that's when I like lost my relationship with God a little bit for a second, because it was like, oh my God, I just lied. And I felt so bad. I felt, but I didn't feel like I was in trouble. I just felt like that sucks that I lied. I should have said, yes, I am, and I'm fine.
No. I
don't know.
Wondering,
I just.
But wait, what is your thought about this man? Do you really have to link up with him?
No, I'm just gonna get a new guy.
But if you said, listen, we just have two different philosophies. Yeah. Like if you invested in him, I don't think you would have been so flapped and like.
Yeah, it was brand new talk, and I'm just like, I didn't hang up on him. I didn't want to cause more harm by saying, well, I'm vaccinated, because I thought that might freak him out. I don't know. I just didn't want to.
Well, then you could. Well, you think it would have freaked him out if you said, if you said that you weren't vaccinated.
He was so freaked out by unvaccinated people.
So you did it to actually. All right, I'm going to say something. Okay. Did it actually because you didn't want to freak him out?
Yeah.
So it's kind of a good.
I put him above God.
Well, not really. In a way. Sometimes.
But that's what I want to fix it. I want to fix it.
I know. But I'm going to tell you something. You can definitely say you're sorry for lying, but you should also know that you did it. Your purpose was to like not fluster this guy and make this guy very uneasy and have unease and nervousness. Because if you were to say that, like if you felt like it was going to make this man like have,
I don't know. I heard screaming in the background. His wife was like seeming like she was in pain and stuff. Like, I don't know.
Like if you were to add that, would have made him more.
Yeah, it was a very strange, because I was talking on the phone with him and he could barely. There was just a weird vibe, and I didn't feel like, I don't know. I just felt like I needed to pray for him, but
I don't think you really did such a bad thing by saying that white lie, and I don't think you should feel like. If anything, I think you did the right thing, because if it was only going to fluster him more,
yeah,
I mean,
that's true.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I know. And God, that's kind of what God has been showing me too. He's like, no, for you, he says it's okay for you to do that. He knows my heart, because he knows, like, in the past, I would have said, but I am, and I would have said it out of pride. Do you know what I mean? So he knows that for me, it was okay that time, because, but not like he's counting every sin again. He doesn't count our sins or whatever, but,
the truth, you know what? Everything's recorded in a book.
Yeah, but it's not like.
But wait, I'm going to say something. But if you do something for somebody else, like if, for example, if somebody does something to you that you didn't like, but you didn't, or you see them but you didn't like bash them, or you didn't say something in a negative way to them, and you kind of like, you went past it and were still really kind to them, he'll erase certain things in your life that maybe. So, I mean, listen, everything that we do is like, it's important. We have to, it's good to be held in your life. That's the truth. We can't do haphazardly, like do whatever we want, hurt people, hurt ourselves, like go and like steal and lie. These are acts that are bringing darkness into the world, actually. And there is a consequence. There's a consequence to all of our acts. That's about. But if we do things like we're not perfect, and the idea is, in this world, if we can repent for them when we realize, ooh, that was wrong, I want to do something, I'm going to start lying, right? And then they have one lie, it's like, ooh, I can't believe I just lied, okay? And then they lie again, and it doesn't feel bad, and then then they keep lying, and and it's as if their lies are almost like truth, because they don't even realize that's the problem.
Which reminds me, I better, did I say April Fool's yet on my thing?
I wrote something on my Facebook, by the way. I was like, oh my gosh, what happened?
I don't know. What time is it? 4:30. Whoa.
I can talk to you forever about stuff like this.
What God is telling me is like, take your time with these instead of just rushing, because I used to rush, and he wants me to do it mindfully. And so he wants me to sit with him. I'm going to be doing a lot of, I'm basically doing what you're doing this weekend. I call it meditation still, but whatever. I just sit with him and I actually get overcome with glory. And there's just things that happen. Sometimes I laugh, sometimes all sorts of stuff. It's crazy, but anyway. But it's
That's awesome.
refreshing. It's just sometimes I'm playing a puzzle with my daughter, just and you just get caught up in the joy. What did I do, or something like that. Because I know I can be a little bit. I bring out a lot in people sometimes, so I don't know.
Yeah, I hear you. No, the truth, I love our rapport together. I feel like I just feel it's always so natural, just kind of like talking with you. And
yeah, good. Well, it's good to see you. You're doing well. You look great. I can't wait to learn. I have to see the timing and everything of it. So yeah.
Oh, it's 8:30 Monday evening.
30 Monday evening. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. What about can I pay and watch the replay if I can't do it? Like, what if I can't make it on that night?
Oh, record it. I should record it. That's a good idea. Yeah, if you can't make it,
But
yeah,
I would still pay.
record it and send it to you. Absolutely.
I'll pay for it though. I want to pay for it. God, just
thank you.
it. Yeah.
If you can.
It's all good. I'm so happy for you. I'm so excited. And I'm definitely going to sew into that for sure. I'm definitely going to buy one. I could afford $25. Yeah, probably if it was more than that, I probably couldn't. So that's perfect for me.
I wanted to make it a group and not be like, okay, it's so much money. Like, you know,
that's fair because a lot of us really can't. And yeah, I know some people that might pay for it. It's just there's people are so stingy. I just pray that the hearts will be opened and softened so that if there's a stingy spirit, it just goes away.
I mean, it should go away.
Because you're so worth it. So yeah,
you're so sweet. It's like, I think if people are really kind of almost desperate for their child and the medication, like they're seeing too many side effects, I feel really they'll want it.
When it comes to that. But yeah.
What?
It's sad that it comes to the desperation, but yeah.
I know. I hate to say that way, but
yeah, but
I don't think people are like as into this, you know?
Yeah, no, I hear you. Well, I love your hairdo. It looks really pretty.
Thank you. Thank you.
I know it's a wig. I know it's like
it's a wig.
I don't know what to call it. What do you call it again?
I call it a shaitel.
Oh, it's so pretty.
A wig. Called a wig. But it's so the reason, I mean, there's a spiritual reason why I wear it, and it's actually it's to sanctify the marriage.
Oh.
Because
now you're getting all superstitious.
No, I'll tell you, it's so interesting because when you have a couple, there's a lot of forces that want to pull the marriage couple apart.
Yep, I know.
I so many people that are divorced, right? But in Judaism, people that are not Jewish, they don't necessarily have to cover their hair. It's not like a mitzvah to do that for them. But in the Jewish religion, it's a good thing to do because it helps keep the marriage together. But and there has to do with the hair and how it's our own hair it's like it's almost dead. Like you can touch it and it doesn't hurt. You can even pull on it doesn't hurt. So part of there could be like this energy that can kind of attach to
the hair
woman. And I don't know if you want to even record this part, but this is just for you. I think
it's interesting though. Yeah. Now we'll chop some of it up,
So if you cover the hair, then that energy can't get to your hair. So anyway, I come from a family of divorced parents, and then my parents got divorced again, and then they got remarried. And then I have a lot of friends whose parents were divorced. Thank God, not yours, but like other friends, like I grew up, I'm like, nobody was married. So I'm like, and I found Judaism, and Judaism and Torah has a lot to say of how to keep a marriage, of how to actually act in your marriage,
right?
How to be. And I'm like,
you should do a course on that. That'd be awesome. You should do a course on that. Yeah, just the way it works with this thing. All right. Well, thank you. We'll talk again. This was great. I'm so happy to have you on the show. And whatever this is, just a dialogue and discussion on unity and just bringing people together. So thank you so much, Jenny.
Thank you so much. It was a pleasure being here.